Hey y'all, this is Rimmel again. So I need you guys to really think about this. 1,000 troops? 1,000. That's not 100. It's not 500. That's 1,000. 1,000 plus or minus some change. Like what? That's how many troops they have in Niger, and that's not including the troops they have in Chad. We'll get to that later. I got a clip for you. But first, I have a clip for you with them discussing on PBS the nature of this withdrawal and the United States being removed. The United States possibly facing some secondhand stray bullet shit that was partially to do with the fact that they are so in bed with the colonial powers of the region. That's France, right? And that's the UK, right? Can't really get out of bed with them. The United States is in bed with them aggressively. And so we've already dealt with situations with them. I mean, Vietnam was a whole thing because of the French. So here we are again. The United States has been projecting power in Africa since Obama. Since Obama, they've been aggressively projecting power in Africa, especially due to these drone bases. AFRICOM is not a joke. And so that is a big AFRICOM base that has been taken off of the board effectively by Niger. How will that affect us in Nigeria? How will that affect our partners? They said they're trying to pull out of Chad. Does that mean that whatever the fuck they're trying to do in Nigeria is going to be bigger than the shit they did in Niger and Chad? Is it going to be something to take the place of both of those? Hell no. So I hope that we can put this thing down. Let's see what these folks have to say. They're going to give some context, some background, and then we're going to get into what the Nigerian folks are saying, at least on some of the platforms, some of the major news networks. Let's see how people are opposing or supporting it. Be right back.
Niger has been hosting nearly 1,000 American military personnel and an air base from which the U.S. launched drone operations. And special operations forces had also been stationed in Chad's capital. And U.S. soldiers have trained local armed forces in both countries. But the majority of forces in Niger are now on their way out. Those in Chad will follow suit while talks continue to possibly keep troops in the country. J. Peter Pham is former U.S. ambassador and special envoy for the Sahel region and a distinguished fellow with the Atlantic Council. Peter, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure to be with you, Ali.
How significant are these departures?
Well, in particular, the departure and the loss of the two air bases, one in Agadez and one in Niamey in Niger, are significant. It took a decade to build these facilities up, to train local forces with which we operated, and to carry out operations not just in Niger and not just in the Sahel, but actually these bases were useful for operations really across a wide part of Africa. So it's going to be a significant loss, a setback. There's no sugarcoating it. In time, substitute facilities may be found, but it's going to take time to build up the capacity and the partnerships that are being lost.
We have a situation where the United States, who has the largest drone base in Africa, based in Niger, is making an attempt. We hope fruitlessly, but there are sellouts among everybody, right? You know, that's a thing, especially in the black community. We struggle with that a lot. There is a effort by the U.S. and France to relocate those troops to Nigeria, open up a new base in Nigeria. Guess where? Right on the fucking border with Niger. What type of nonsense is that? Hell nah. And I'm so glad that Nigeria is standing up to it. Politicians and pundits alike are saying their two bits and they're giving it hard action. This joint is going to be shut down, I hope. Lagba alone. This is important because this is about black people standing up for their own sovereignty. Black people standing up for their own sovereignty in their nations and globally as independent community members. Niger, Nigeria, Cameroon, Congo, Burkina Faso, Mali. That huge block, that whole delta, unified, nothing strikes fear into the heart of the white supremacists, the global imperialists, more than that.
But again, to go back to the example the Niger gave, is that the Americans refuse to share the intelligence they are collecting with them. and that these terrorists will be attacking their soldiers, and they will not receive any warning from the American drones that this is a group of terrorists coming towards their soldiers so that they could take measures to defend themselves. And when, therefore, after 12 years, they came to the conclusion that the intelligence gathered is only for American use and not for the host country, then there was absolutely no need to continue to allow that agreement to continue. The challenge this poses for countries like Nigeria, and definitely for our country, is that we must develop our own capacity for intelligence gathering that will be used, that will be directed for our own defense and for our own offense against the terrorists that are destabilizing our country.
I mean, you hear that? They are not sharing the intelligence gathering information that they're gleaning from their military bases in Niger. Now, here we go, and they're allegedly offering that same deal to us. Why would we accept it? That's a hell no. There's a hard no from us in Akiti, but we'll see what everyone else has to say about it. Listen to this part, though. This is an important aspect as well.
I'm a strong believer in multilateral processes, and I think the Americans remain an ally of Nigeria. We've bought weapons from them that have been very efficacious in the war against terrorism we are conducting. We have received, as you have pointed out, training from them on the use of some of these equipments they have sold to us. This is all good. This should continue. But where we are drawing the red line is that it shouldn't get to the level of saying we are ceding part of our sovereignty because we expect additional help from them. Don't forget all the weapons we've got from them, we have paid for fully in cash and in advance before they were delivered. The Tucano planes, we had to pay 3 years before delivery. So there isn't anything about they are doing us any favors. It's a commercial relationship. It can be useful for us, and to the extent to which it is useful, we should continue. We are not challenging that in any way, but I feel at the end of the day, the challenge to our sovereignty must be considered a threat, and to the extent to which it is a threat, it must be blocked.
So you hear this, that it's not just the fact that we are dealing with a monolithic situation where only one is benefiting. It is also that we aren't in a position to benefit from any of this intelligence. And in addition to that, we are being put into a vice where we are a proxy in between Russia and the United States. That's not a good place to be. And honestly, we're too big for that. We're too grown for that. We don't have time for that. We are in the process of growing bigger than both the United States and Russia. Why would we want to be used like the African Ukraine? Ugh, sounds sick. Just to imagine it. The African Ukraine? No, not Nigeria. So, I mean, you guys take from it what you will. I'm on the side that I'm thinking is the right side. That's the local sovereignty side. And so we're stepping up to the plate, making sure that we don't allow people to manipulate and corrupt our populations and property areas. I don't know what y'all are thinking as far as this option, but I think it's a no. I think it's a no from everybody in the diaspora. But there are perspectives to be considered. There are different no's, different yeses. Love to hear it. Hit up the comments. I mean, there's no maximum, so let's go. I want to hear you. And as always, peace. Bye-bye.